Welcome to Amateur Redneck Workshop. I'm Harold, and sometimes I do a little web surfing, and sometimes that leads me to having ideas to copy what I find there. And I come across a spot where a young fella is set up his Ender 3 3D printer to be an engraver, and I thought, hey, that's just right up my alley. I'd love to have my 3D printer turned into an engraver where I can, go back and forth between 3D printing and engraving. Now, it's probably not going to be a really grand engraver, certainly not a CNC mill or something like that, but I think it'll work pretty good. I watched it run on plastic, and it did a good job cutting plastic. So, taking the guy's file, and he had a file with all the stuff in it that you need, so I copied his file and I went to GearBest and I ordered a bunch of parts, and it looks like with GearBest, prompt delivery means this century, I finally, after almost a month, got the power supply and the motor controller. About a week ago, I got the electric motor that's going to run on the thing, and of course I started printing the files. I printed out a motor mount and that sort of thing. I've got that ready to go. So what we're going to do is, just as soon as I finish printing the project box for this thing, we're going to start assembling everything. Alright, so this stuff finally arrived from GearBest. It's not my full order, but this is what did finally arrive today, a little power supply. And if a lady were to see that, I know she'd say, what a cute little power supply. I had to throw that in, couldn't help it. And this is the motor controller, and this is the motor. It's been here a little bit, long enough. I printed this from the file I got from the young guy that came up with the idea, and I've already got the motor fastened onto it. And what we'll do, we'll take the print head off of the ender, and we will screw this on in its place. I'll mount this stuff in or on the project box and put it on the ender somewhere on the frame there, and I'll show you. Right there is that's the project box that I'm printing. Where is it? There it is. I'm printing that project box right there. It'll be a box with a lid, so if things work out just right, I'll have everything covered. This is going to take I believe it said 26 minutes, which seems pretty fast, but I'll bring you guys back if and when we get finished here. I used this JVC camera the other day in a review video. I was going to have a close-up of the brass ejector while I was using it, and this thing didn't capture anything. I guess I must not have got the button securely pushed down. But then I went to take the memory card out of there to copy the files off of it, and guess what I did? It was stuck, and I couldn't get it to come out. And finally, I forced it out, ruined the slot there for the SD card. So I guess that pretty much ruins the camera, because I checked with this place to see what they'd charge to fix it, and they wanted $150 plus shipping and handling. And I got to thinking, well, that's probably going to come to about $200, and I can buy a new one for that. So too bad for this guy. Down the tubes. Now this is the box that I 3D printed. A nice top, fits just right, and the only features that didn't expand when I expanded this thing about 200% were these little mounting things down here. So they're not going to be very helpful in holding this circuit board unless I put something in there to just sort of stick to the bottom of this thing. And that's what I'll do. I'll get a little piece of wood or something, and I'll stick it into here, and I'll fasten this guy to it. And what I'm going to have to do is drill some holes for air. I'll drill some holes in the bottom to let the air in, some holes in the sides, the top, let air out, because these heat sinks are obviously going to have a lot of heat to get rid of. Okay. And I'll also have to run this through the side of the case, and the wiring will have to go through the case somewhere. So I'm assuming that it would be just as well to put this guy in the top. I just stick out the top, and it'll be mounted on the printer like this, with this board up in here and this guy sticking out toward the front. Okay. So what I'm going to do to make this stuff work out is I'm going to dig around in my scrap wood in here and find something I can cut down to fit here, and then glue it into here, screw this on it, not necessarily in that order, and I'm going to have to drill the holes of course for everything, so I'm probably not going to do all that or much of it on camera. Well, it's good I've got this piece of thin veneer left over. You can see how it was expertly cut in sort of a wobbly direction. I think that if I cut on that line, it might fit. I'll give it a try. Alright, 2 screws, one in each corner here, should hold this together quite well. Now I'll get a straight edge and mark this guy off and drill holes in it for ventilation. Well, I laid it out kind of in a neat sort of manner, and I'm going to try to drill holes in it in a sort of neat kind of manner. I know that I'm just no redneck and probably going to mess up. Stuff shouldn't like being drilled. Kind of comes off in little strips. See that surface? It's not too good. I'll have to get some snippers of some kind and cut those pieces off before they go peeling out of there. See down in here? Not great. I hope for better. Ugly, very ugly, but I'll get some side cutters and clean that up. Okay, so there's our speed control in the lid. Now all I've got to do is run some wires for the terminals on that little board, and I'll just run some pigtails out here, and when we get ready to hook it up to the real thing, we'll use some wire nuts and hook it on, probably. I found some little screws that came out of plastic. They were holding some plastic device or another together, and I think they'll work for this. The holes are certainly big enough for them there. If I don't keep dropping everything. Sure is hard making it fit there. Too big, too big. I'll be back. Alright, this isn't too big. I think that they're screwing in pretty good. May be an illusion, but I think they are. They seem to be. I've got some two-sided tape, and that's how I'll mount it on the little frame of the Ender 3. Well, going in there. This one seems to be just a little bit bigger than the others. Probably came out of some other cabinet or box or whatever you want to call it. There you are. That's put together. It almost looks like I knew what I was doing. So we got this together. I've got the power supply. I need to pick up all my toys here and find some double-sided tape, and then we'll go upstairs and start mangling on the Ender. I went to practice this morning, and when I went to sign out, there was that little guy right there sitting by the sign-out sheet, and it said free, so that was my price, and so I took it. And I brought it home and opened it up, and it's already full of walnut hulls. So I don't know what the heck. I threw a bunch of 45 brass in there, and there it goes. Things are getting crowded here, but I'm going to use some double-sided tape, and I'm going to stick the new tiny power supply right on top of the old one here, and that should hold it. Don't have to put any screws in anything, and I like that idea a lot better than whatever else would have come up. So let me peel off a little double-sided tape here. Have to let it go. There we go. Alright, let's just stick it right on there like that. And then we'll take this guy and stick him right on there, just like that. It'll make it harder for me to stick the wires in there, but not much harder. I should have thought of that, shouldn't I? Could have put the wires on it first. Oh well. It's alright. It's all going to come out in the wash. They're small wires anyway. And now this box that I've gone to all this trouble to get set up, I'm going to stick him up here, I think right on top of this guy. And that should get him right above the motor. I won't need much wire, just enough to reach from side to side there. So I guess while you're thinking about it, I'll get some double-sided tape on there and get started. I need to use scissors. I'll be back. Alright, so I got some scissors. Cut the tape square instead of ragged like I did with my pocket knife. And we'll just stick it on here so we get the best effect of it. I'm going to use 2 pieces, although there's hardly enough room there for 2 pieces, but what the hey. It's paid for, huh? There's that. I've noticed that double-sided tape's always kind of expensive. I guess either it's hard to make or it's expensive because they can get it. I'm not sure which. There we are. Attached. Just as good as if you'd used actual attachment hardware. Alright, so now I'll run a couple of wires from there up to connect to the power supply, and then I'll run a couple of wires from speed control down to the motor. But first we got to put the motor on. Alright, so let me get some tools handy and we'll get started on the motor. Well, that's all, folks. Y'all try to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Leave a comment if you got something to say. And above all, remember, keep on keeping on. Bye now.